So something that happens in Sync Academy quite a bit, and it's one of the cool reasons why we have this great platform, is we had a member reach out who was pretty frustrated at something he's been facing in the sync licensing business. And I'm really grateful, really glad that he decided to share it with us, kind of put it out there and just sort of get some feedback and some advice and some encouragement basically from the rest of us who have been there, kind of seen what he's seen, or if not, at least can empathize and say, hey, you're not the only one going through some struggles here in this business. So this student, basically, he had a couple of tracks, I think 3 tracks accepted by a non-exclusive library. And they had told him in the beginning, these are awesome. Thank you so much. Let's get you under contract. You've got them. And then he went for, weeks and months cranking out more and more music. But almost every single track he sent to them after that, it was a different person reviewing his tracks, and they basically were saying, no, not acceptable. You need to do some more work. These aren't going to work for us. So, he got really, really frustrated in terms of, well, the first 3 that I sent you were great, but all the rest of these are, I think, better than what I sent you the first 3. Why aren't you accepting any of these? And it was a different person, so a different opinion and different feedback and that kind of thing can obviously explain that. But certainly frustrating, and I totally relate to that, feeling that you're making some progress and you got an in with a library, and then you start creating more and more music for them, and they say, actually, no, that's not good enough. You're going to have to do better, or, change what you're submitting to us or go in a different direction. Super frustrating, right? Because you thought that you were doing something right, and then you feel like, well, maybe I'm not doing something right. And then this member went off and submitted to a different library. They loved the music. I think I remember him saying that they loved the music. They were going to take it on, but they were, their terms were exclusivity, right? They needed exclusive control of the music, and they wanted to sign it in perpetuity, meaning forever. No reversion clause. You can't take the music back out. But they were saying yes to his music, as opposed to the non-exclusive library that kept on saying no to him. For him, he decided that the exclusive perpetuity route was not what he wanted to do. He wasn't comfortable with that arrangement in that contract, which is totally his call. Like that's where his line in the sand was of like, I will not work with companies that give me exclusivity or require exclusivity without a reversion clause, and they want it forever. This is my music, and I want to have some ability to take that music back out if it's not doing well, which is totally his right. So a lot of stuff with this situation. And what was really cool about him posting this is we had really, 2 really helpful Sync Academy members that went in there and gave him some great just kind of empathy and some advice for how they deal with this kind of stuff, because it sounds like they had been in similar situations and dealt with some frustrations like that. And usually I go in and kind of give my perspective, but this time with what these 2 members said, I was like, I can't say anything better than what these guys offered you. They're basically giving you the best advice, the best insights, and the best kind of empathy that you could really want from somebody in this business. But it did make me want to make a video about this because there was 2 main things that kind of popped up out of this. The first is the mindset of this, because this member really was taking this as a big, looking at it as just a setback, right? Like he felt like he'd made a couple of steps forward, but now he was 9 steps back. And so he felt like he wasn't going forward at all in this business. And that's just a perception. That's just how he's looking at this right now. At least that's how it felt like he was looking at the situation when he posted this. So the only thing I could add to that is to say, the real battle for you is not actually in the exclusivity, the non-exclusivity, the library accepting your tracks, the library rejecting your tracks. The real battle is going on between your ears, is how you're looking at all of this, okay? So if you're looking at this in terms of, I made some progress and now I've made no progress. In fact, I've gone backwards. I've taken 8 steps in the opposite direction of really where I want to go, because I'm further away from getting into these libraries. I'm further away from building up my catalog. If you see this situation that way, what does that do to your motivation, right? And I don't know, maybe some people get more pissed off and keyed up, and they're like, that's it, like I'm going even harder because I really want to recoup what I lost, quote unquote, right? If it motivates you to see it that way, then go for it. Use that story, right? It is just a story. Use it to motivate yourself. But I think more times than not, having that perception that we are taking steps back in our career, it's more demotivating than it is motivating, because it feels like we've lost ground. Like we were climbing up a mountain and an avalanche happened and boom, we're right back down in the beginning again. And it makes you look up going, oh, do I have to go put in all that effort again? I know for me, it feels that way if I look at things like this in this light. So I believe, I'm not mind reading, but I believe that's probably where the student was going with this, feeling really defeated, feeling like, no matter how far ahead I get in this business, I'm always facing these big setbacks. That's really actually where all of the battle lies, because if you look at it that way and that's demotivating you, you will just burn yourself out of this business. It doesn't matter. You can have the best work schedule. You can have the most understanding family. You can have, a boatload of money in your savings account, allowing you to spend more and more time on this and less on your work or something like that. If the mindset is feeling like you're going backwards, it's just a matter of time before you're just going to throw in the towel, because nobody wants to just be going backwards, right? You would be crazy to go your entire life feeling you're going in the wrong direction in your career. At some point, you'll just give up. So I think reframing this psychologically is really where most of this stuff needs to be done. That's really where the focus of all this needs to come in. So all I could offer him is to say, it's really your choice. And I'm not here trying to convince you one way or the other. But if you continuously look at this as a huge setback and as something that's negative and you're going in the wrong direction, it's just a matter of time before this will just be done. And you really will have wasted probably a couple of years of your life going down this path of sync licensing, because you won't get to where you originally wanted to go. The other choice is to see it as growth, actually moving forward, because you're learning, right? It's not what you wanted. You wanted just to be accepted. You wanted to get into it. But for one reason or another, that's not happening. So it looks like that path that you thought was going to be for you is not the path towards growth. This is the path over here you need to take. So at least you're seeing that path clearly to say, well, either I need to rethink, maybe saying no to an exclusive library in perpetuity and just thinking that was my sort of line in the sand. Maybe it's time to rethink that, because there's an open door here, right? This door that I wanted to go through is closing on me, saying, nope. There's a door that's open over here. It's not exactly what I wanted to do. Maybe I need to step back and rethink that this could be a huge step forward in my career if I can rethink how my priorities are going to be in terms of what kind of companies I want to work with, or how I'm thinking about my music, and what is my psychological block for wanting to not give up perpetuity for them. Is there something going on there that I can maybe rethink or reevaluate? Maybe not, right? I'm not here trying to convince you guys to go one way or another way. You got to make that choice for yourself. But sometimes we can definitely get sort of religiously locked in these like values that we think are so important. And sometimes there's not a really good reason for it. So, one of the members, with his feedback for this member, he was saying like, he says for him, he works with exclusive libraries that require in perpetuity. In the beginning, it might have messed with his head a little bit. And I've done that for pretty much all of my career. So just so you guys know, that is basically the path that I've gone. A few have given me reversion clauses, but it's been the minority. Most of the libraries I work with, they have that music and they have it forever. And I sleep like a baby at night. I have no problem with that. And for him, he realized that like psychologically, the story that he tells himself to get himself out of that block is to say, this music isn't really for me. I'm making this music. I love it. It's great. It's motivating. It's creative. And it's really cool. I get to do this. But ultimately, this music really is for the clients. It's really for the commercial, the TV show, the background, the foreground, the jingle, the whatever. It's really for somebody else's use to make their product better. So for him, having that story of I'm here to serve, I'm here to make somebody's life better, he gets out of his own way, that ego and that voice that says, never give your music away in your perpetuity, and never sign it exclusively, and never do this, which we can all struggle with those thoughts. And sometimes those thoughts are correct. Again, please, I'm not black and white on this. Sometimes you shouldn't give your music up in perpetuity forever. If it's the wrong company, if you don't really know, depending on your situation, there are times maybe you don't want to go down that path, or you're drawing a line in the sand and you don't want to do that. And that's cool. I respect that. But for him, that's how he gets through that, to say like, well, I don't think of it in terms of these are my babies. This is my music. Because that's how a lot of us think about our music. Oh, this is my creativity. And no, I can't give it to somebody else. So that's all just going on up here. That's all that really is. So if you can change the story and it helps you get towards success, like if you guys don't know my story, in the beginning, I was definitely one of those like, never sign over your publishing, never give exclusive perpetuity to anybody. I really kind of had that as a dogmatic approach, until I realized this is what broke me through that barrier, was that, I was getting an offer from a library and they were asking for those things, exclusivity in perpetuity. And it gave me a little bit of pause. But then the next thought was like, okay, well, if I don't sign and give this library these 10 tracks, what am I going to do with those 10 tracks to monetize it? And that's what I'm wanting, right? I'm not just making music for my own benefit and just to express myself. Yes, I do that. but I'm trying to make a living at this thing, right? I don't want to go get a day job. I don't want to have to work for other people. I really just want to be able to make music. So monetizing my music is pretty much at the top of the list. And when I sat back and thought, okay, what am I going to do with these 10 tracks? Put it on YouTube, throw it up online, try to get a record deal, I guess, or try to get a publishing deal. You know, I had a couple of ideas, but it wasn't like a sort of clear path and a plan for me to go get that. Whereas there's this just door opening saying, hey, Sync Licensing, music library, we're going to pay you a little bit. I was getting $50 consideration fees per track. Not a lot, but more than what I had on my other hand. I had nothing going on as far as a plan B for those tracks. So I'm getting money, I'm getting a contract, and the most important thing is I'm getting an opportunity to get passive income built up and growing through the TV film licensing business. So yes, they need exclusive control over that. Yes, they're going to take it in perpetuity. What do I got to lose? Let's give it a shot. So that's basically where my mindset got to be more at peace with it. And then as I saw the royalties come in and the placements and the sync opportunities, you know, the custom jobs and that kind of thing, and I was like, wow, like this is turning into a career, full-time job. Great. I'm really glad that I didn't get into my own way, right? And be like, I want 100% of a grape rather than taking 50% of a watermelon. I'm glad that I didn't get so religiously dogmatic in what I was thinking before. And I adjusted and shifted how I was perceiving things so that I could be a little bit more useful for the world and fit in and provide music for somebody that could put money in my pocket. So that's how I personally got through it. You got to decide how you want to get through it as well. So that's basically the big, topic of today's video is it's really how you perceive this kind of stuff. And we can become our own worst enemy. We really do sort of get in our own way more often than anybody else will, than any other composer, any library, even this person that was giving them negative feedback. Like, that guy's not your enemy. You know, the guy at the library that's rejecting your music, that's not your enemy. That's not the person that's not giving you a fair shot and, giving you a chance. It's really just about taking responsibility. So that means that we don't always get what we want, and the path that we saw for ourselves isn't always the path that will get us to where we want to go. But we need to accept that when we see it and go, okay, how can I frame this? Choose to frame it, right? Consciously, so that this becomes motivating for me to push through it, go around it, get a different perspective on something. So if you're not able to do that in these moments of temporary setbacks or challenge, you got to be careful, because it's like quicksand, right? Like, you're excited, you're moving forward in your career, and then you hit this big stumbling block or a rejection or something like that. And if you don't figure out a way to like reframe that, to just step right around it and keep on moving, it will be this thing that the more you stay there in this kind of victim, woe is me, I feel like I wasted my time, and I can't figure this out, and you're kind of wallowing in it. You're sinking. That's what you're doing. You're slowly sinking to the point where you won't have any strength to pull yourself out of it, and you'll just be done with this entire business. So it's really important, especially when you hit those moments of doubt, to reach out, to look for community, to look for somebody you can talk to. That's what Sync Academy is. The most powerful point of it is those moments, and you will face them. I have told you guys that 1,000 times. Whether it's royalties being really small or not coming in when you wanted them to, getting rejected, not getting the custom opportunity, thinking that your tracks were at a certain level, but you find out, I actually don't think I'm at there. You're going to hit one of those points, and it's going to be this moment of like, damn, like, do I keep going with this? Is this even worth it? Like, I thought this was what I wanted to do, but now I'm realizing it's going to be a lot tougher. So being able to have some support and have a community around you like you could have with Sync Academy, that's really what it's all about. And so we can kind of pull each other together. So hopefully the, happy ending to all of this is that this member, I hope, gets some encouragement, especially even from this video, that it's not the end of your career. It doesn't have to be. It can be, but it doesn't have to be. This is kind of like a choose your own adventure thing. This can either be the start of how you really turn your career around, or it could be the beginning of the end where you start to just sort of give up. And it's all up to you. Don't look at me. I'm not going to make that choice. Don't look to your fellow members. Don't look to the library. Don't look to anybody else to decide this stuff for you. You're going to create this story for yourself. So I hope that you choose a story that you can live with and that you'll be happy with for the rest of your life.